Hi, I'm Martin Blackham, and it's great to be here at Hebron. We're here with Nadia, Matar from Women in Green. We've just come out of the conference, the Sovereignty Conference, and what are your feelings? This is the first one, isn't it?
There's no better feeling than standing in Hebron, next to the Machpelah cave where our forefathers and foremothers are buried. Hebron is where Jewish history started. Hebron is where everything started. Hebron is where the Jewish kingdom started, with King David being a king in Hebron before going to Jerusalem. Hebron is the heart of the Jewish people. And as I quoted in the conference, even David Ben-Gurion said that Hebron is the twin sister of Jerusalem. And here in Hebron, it is an overwhelming feeling of excitement that we were able to organize a historical conference with hundreds of people who attended, calling for the application of the Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. As you know, the world is pressuring Israel to constantly cave in and capitulate and give part of our homeland away, claiming that we have to give part of our homeland away for so-called peace. But we are here to say that we know that those who are calling for Israel to give away part of its biblical heartland are really people who want to destroy Israel, because God forbid the creation of a Palestinian state in Israel's biblical heartland would be like as if taking the heart of a human being away. We are not able, nor do we even intend to, give away our homeland the same way. Not that I compare our Hebron to Paris or another, because with all due respect to Paris or London, we have been in existence here in Hebron for many thousands of years, much more than you. But normal people, you would never think of the French agreeing to give away Paris or part of Paris, or the British giving away London or part of London to Al-Qaeda, and therefore it sounds insane to ask from us to give away Judea and Samaria, what some people call the territories, or even in a more malicious way, the occupied territories. Those are the areas that we liberated in '67. We have returned here for when the Jewish people prayed for next year in Jerusalem. For thousands of years, they were not dreaming of going back to Eilat or to Tel Aviv. They were dreaming of coming back right here in Hebron, in Jerusalem, in Nablus, in Bethlehem. This is our biblical homeland. And today all the speakers, starting with the Knesset members, Tzipi Chotolebeli and Ariel Eldad, and the letter we quoted from head of the coalition, Zev Elkin, down to the other speakers, whether it's Caroline Glick, Yoram Ettinger, let me not forget anyone now, I have to remember, Gabi Avital, Professor Rafi Israeli, Eran Bartal, etc. Everybody called for applying for the real and one and only solution here in this area, the one and only option that is a viable option, that is a option that can work, is applying Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. Caroline Glick said it maybe in the most compact way. There are two choices, or the choice, God forbid, of the creation of a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria, which would be a national suicide for Israel, or sovereignty, Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, which would mean Israel will live, and this is the only way we can live. So from those two options, tonight, hundreds of people in Hebron declared the beginning of a big campaign, and as you have heard, maybe Yitzhak Klein, one of the last speakers, who gave the poll that the majority of the Jewish people, that's what they want. The majority of the Jewish people do not want to give up on their homeland, do not want to cave into terror, do not want to capitulate to our Al-Qaeda here, which is the PA and Hamas and etc. The majority of the Jewish people agree with this call that we have called tonight. The conference was organized by Women in Green, the organization, my partner Judith Katzova and myself. We're heading together with Arutz Sheva, the station Arutz Sheva, together with the Professor for a Strong Israel and the Machpelah Visitor Center here, where we held the meeting. All together, we basically expressed the wish of the majority of the Jewish people, and everybody left the conference with a postcard addressed already to the Prime Minister, where it says, regaining the initiative, applying Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, this is the only option.
So it's you've started a snowball, really. It's
I hope so.
I mean it was an amazing conference to go to because it had the feeling of a first thing, the first time in Hebron, a first time for sovereignty, a first time with everybody together, because very often it can be fragmented. There's one person over there saying this is what should happen, there's one person over there, but everybody coming together.
Yeah, we basically put together all the different people who believe that we need to do so, each one for their different reasons. It could even be that one speaker didn't completely agree with the other speaker on the details. Some people said we should first apply sovereignty on part of Judea and Samaria. Others said, right, that doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the main direction. We're going forward. We're saying to the world, and this is very important for me to mention, the reason we organize this conference is basically the main message here is the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel. This is our land, and therefore it is only natural that we should apply sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. Basically, this should have been done in '67 when we liberated the area. And sadly, as we quoted Geula Cohen, one of the Knesset member who is really in '85 already, pushed forward this law, but it was never applied, it was never accepted. But she wrote a beautiful call for this law where she basically said what should have been done in '67 was immediately apply sovereignty over all the areas that we liberated. And she writes there, sadly, it was only done to East Jerusalem, and our leaders were then too weak or too fearful to do the same for Judea and Samaria. And now, she writes in '85, and now we are in 2011, basically quoting her and trying to implement what she already called for in '85. Now is the time to do it in all over Judea and Samaria.
So the next part of the campaign is with the Knesset. You've got the postcards, and
Yes.
Are you going to be organizing more conferences like this?
I don't want to commit, because when I promise something I usually keep my promise. So we would like to organize another conference like this. We will keep you in touch about what our plans are. We can tell you that the entire conference will be broadcasted in a few days on the internet. So
that's on YouTube?
On YouTube, yes. We will send you the link. Do you get our emails, by the way? You get our emails, so it will be put on the YouTube. Everybody will be able to click on the link they're interested in, whether it's Caroline Gleik or this or that. We'll divide it, we'll fragment it. And we'll see. We'll see where we'll continue. Please start.
And the people watching today, is there a website they can go to find out more about you?
You can find more about our activities at www.womeningreen.org. And in a few days, as we said, hopefully also the conference will be on it.
Now, one of the interesting things I learned from the conference was about the economics. We had a guy who was talking about, the price of houses.
Right.
I know it's perhaps not to do with the conference, but are houses cheaper in Judea and Samaria?
There are no houses anymore for sale in Judea and Samaria. As somebody mentioned, I don't know if you know, but in Israel now, the youth is having big demonstrations in Tel Aviv that asking for cheaper housing, and there's nowhere to live as a young couple. What wasn't mentioned by those people in the streets, because many of them are on the left, but what was mentioned at our conference tonight was that the reason those young people in Tel Aviv do not have cheap housing is because there is a freeze in Judea and Samaria. We Jews are not allowed to build. We are. My daughter is getting married, and she has nowhere to live. So interestingly, the problems of the Tel Aviv Jews with their housings is related to the fact that they don't let us Jews live here, build here. And what we're calling to stop this economic crisis is allow to Bibi Netanyahu. You're supposed to be Bibi Netanyahu, such a big economic genius. Allow us to build here, build thousands of homes in Judea and Samaria. The young couple, as the economists said there, Judea and Samaria, they're just a few minutes away from the big cities, not a half an hour drive, and let hundreds of thousands of Jews move to Judea and Samaria, and prices will drop everywhere.
And a couple of last questions. Number one is September. Everybody's talking about September, but September could be good in that there's all this talk of the Palestinians doing things, but which might force the Israeli government to take action.
Definitely. First of all, I never like to act because somebody else acts. What we should do is to initiate, even in August. I want to talk about August. Why not? Why September? Nothing's going to happen in September. You have to understand. They're going to once again declare something that will have absolutely no legal status at the UN, which we know the UN is an anti-Jewish organization, and we just will poo-poo what they decide because it will have no real legal teeth. What we should initiate is what we called for today at the conference, to even before September declare and apply Jewish to declare and apply Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, and basically give a knockout then to their plans in September. But as you said, I also am a little bit of a realist, and I know it's not going to happen in August, especially that most Knesset members and ministers are on vacations. So at least we expect, if the Arabs do something like that, like declaring something, then we certainly expect our politicians to use that to call for Israeli sovereignty of Jews as a reaction. If you don't do it as an initiative, which should be done, then at least do it as a reaction.
And it was good to see Israeli members of Knesset here speaking. Must it be encouraging for you that they're speaking for you and standing with you in your campaign?
Absolutely, and I think it was encouraging for them to see the hundreds of people who came and supported them and showed them that when they do the right thing, then they get the support. So it's how do you say? It goes both ways.
And one interesting thing I saw, that other people are watching. The people the other side are also watching what's going on. It sends a message there that Jewish people care about their land, that Israelis care about the land of Israel.
Absolutely. I learned 1 year in psychology before I came on Aliyah to live in Israel. And one of the main things I remember from that 1 year in psychology in Brussels when I learned is, as a person in general, and I'm not talking now about Jews or Arabs or anything, a person respects you if you respect yourself. And the same thing, the Arabs respected us for many years when we had governments who made it very clear that this was our land and that we will never give it up and never give it away. And I just think of even in the Entebbe incredible thing when Israel went all the way to release people. They said we're not going to accept hijacking. There was a time when we respected ourselves and we were feared and respected by the world and also by the Arabs. We have to go back to those days where we will have a Jewish leadership say the things very clearly. The land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel. Israel is smaller than the state of New Jersey. The Arab world, if you want to compare this in a graphic sense, the Arab world is like a huge soccer field. On that soccer field, you have a small box of matches. That is Israel, proportionally, if you open a map. The owners of the soccer field are trying to kick away that little box of matches because they want a Jew-clean soccer field. We are going to fight about a little box of matches, which is the most beautiful country in the world that God gave us, and nobody will succeed in letting us give this away.